Yo, John Fitch here. Another episode of John Fitch Knows Nothing. Special guest today, Corey Copella. Corey, how you doing?
What is up, John Fitch?
For
it's been a little while. It's been a
people
week
of you
or two.
that don't know, me and Corey also do another live stream on YouTube, usually on Sundays, and we talk all types of man shit.
Yeah,
pretty much, right? Yeah.
I've been hitting the conspiracy theories lately too. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is about conspiracy theories is conspiracies happen all the time.
I agree.
You know, anytime two people get together, anytime two people come together, make a secret plan, that's a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play us in. It's my tradition to play some music as some people jump on the live stream.
Sweet.
We'll keep it classy because this will be a very classy conversation. Yay. That was not so great. I've been on vacation pretty much last week or whatever, and I've been playing my concert ukulele, which is smaller, and it's the first time I've picked that thing up. Was right before I chimed on with you.
Yeah.
Feels so different. It's different. It's weird. I don't know. Plus, I got big fat fingers, so
sure.
Corey, how are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah, you're down in sunny San Diego, where I was for a night.
It's warming up here. I'm feeling a lot better, honestly. Had some stuff happen just recently in my life that was unexpected, but it's one of those things where you just got to roll with the punches. You got to see why it happened, see the benefit behind why it happened, right? And then just keep on going. So that's kind of my motto right now, is just keep on going. Keep on going.
All you can do is it's all you can do.
That's real. I mean, like, but it's
that or die.
It's exactly. That's exactly what it comes down to and I think that is like, you and I talk about masculinity a lot. And I think that is the difference between a boy and a man.
Yep.
A boy would stop, sit on the sidelines, pout, figure out a way to get sympathy or to get some form of nurture. In a way, it ties directly over to this kind of feminist agenda with everyone being a victim. But I think the man is the type of person that says, you know what, as shitty as things might be, as much as it might hurt or sting or whatever, you just got to keep on going. We got a lot of stuff to be scared of right now. There's a lot of shit.
I try to just look at everything as an adventure.
Yeah.
Right? That's all it is. It's an adventure. So just write it out. Because when it comes down to it, we're just
naked
apes flying on a ball of fire covered with rock and water.
Yeah, exactly.
You might as well just enjoy the ride.
Yeah. You have no control really over much of this.
Yeah.
Other than your perspective.
Other than your feelings. That's why I have on my wall in my little workout area here in my garage, studio, gym, whatever. I have a sign that says it's your fault.
Yeah.
Because no matter what it is and it happens to you, like the way you feel about it, that's up to you. That's your fault.
For sure. It's definitely, going into Jocko's stuff too, that's like the form of ownership. Mm-hmm. Once you can take ownership over your position and your lot in life, it's like, all right, I have control over this. This is something to do with my own choices and my own decisions. Sure. I think, 98% of it has to do with your choices. Mm-hmm. And I think there's like a small.
Sometimes things are out of your control. Sometimes things are out of control. But it's really up to you to be like, oh, is this going to destroy me and stop me in my tracks, or do I find a way around it?
For sure. I mean, but you and I know this better than most because we do jujitsu, right? I think jujitsu teaches that. Yeah, and
wrestled since I was 9.
And you're a fucking fighter as well. So like things don't you can plan and then the fucking doors close and it's like, well, that just went out the window. Did you watch the Fury fight this last weekend?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
He did great. It was a great fight. It was fun. but it's just he's so big.
He's so big.
So big. He had 50 pounds, at least 50 pounds on Wilder. That's ridiculous.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was 270 something.
Yeah, 275.
275, and then Wilder's only like 220 something.
No way.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. His back is huge. Wilder's back is huge, but he's
got skinny legs.
Skinny. But
yeah, so I mean, like, think about me. If I had to fight somebody 50 pounds heavier than me, Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was one of the greats who said that every 20 pounds is like another belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Yeah, I think that's why. And not to toot my own horn, I'm a 2-stripe purple belt. I've been training steadily for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can roll. I mean, I roll people higher belt than me right now, and it's hard for them. It's really hard for them. And it's like, just like what you say. I mean, I rolled a 2-stripe brown belt 2 or 3 days ago, and I gave him a really, really hard time. Right. Took him into some deep water as well. And I'm 50 pounds heavier than him. So it's like, I mean, I can, if I'm having that base level knowledge of jiu-jitsu and knowing position and stuff like that. I mean, sure, I'm not fucking tapping him every 3 seconds that I'm like, oh my God, I'm the best. But it's like, I take him into deep water. I make him panic. He gets worried and scared and all this other stuff and makes bad choices and all this other stuff. Right. And like, he just gets up and he's like, dude, you're fucking so heavy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, did you see what Fury was doing? He was like
leaning on him. Weight. Yeah, he charged him down, put him in the ropes.
People don't understand how much that takes out of someone.
Well, as a wrestler, that's one of the things that we, especially the Big Ten wrestler, we really get after it, get a lot of hand fighting in. Like, you can make a guy really tired by pulling down on his head.
For sure.
Really tired.
Really tired.
You snap the head, snap that. You might spend the first period just snapping the crap out of the guy's neck. Then he's breathing heavy in the second round, and you start having your way with him.
And it sucks the life out of you too, man. Like, it really makes you feel like you start feeling fits of desperation. And once a little bit of desperation starts coming in, kind of like what happened with what's his name, Wilder, like, you could see it. He didn't know started to have. Exactly. He had these bouts of desperation, which stopped him from moving.
Going to enact the rematch, so we're gonna get a third one.
Nice,
which I think is good, because if he is a good boxer, he should be able to adjust. Because the first fight, Fury wasn't moving forward. He wasn't, being the bully.
Yeah, it was too defensive.
Yes, so he was letting Wilder dictate. So he made an adjustment, came back and smashed Wilder. So we'll see if Wilder will be able to make adjustments with this camp and fight differently and be able to counter that, because Fury being that big, my plan would be like to wear him out, make him tired, hit the body more. Sure.
I was going to say that. You got to hit that body more.
It's such a big target too. He's got the little tiny bean head. He's super tall.
Right. Yeah. You can't be shooting for the knockout and looking for that stuff that whole time. You got to
that's his thing though.
Down. I know.
But Ortiz won every round up until he got kerplopped.
What do you think about that ear shot, man? That was crazy to see blood coming out of his ear.
He might have. It's possible. I mean, it happens. People get your eardrum can pop.
I think that's what happened to him.
Yeah.
Has there been any word out of his camp yet as to what happened?
I haven't seen anything. I've been so busy though with traveling and whatever.
Yeah, I try not to pay too much attention to that stuff too, man. I got too much stuff going on. I was lucky I even caught any of the fight, honestly.
Yeah, there were three other cards this weekend. I didn't see anything other than the Wilder Fury card.
Yeah,
because there was 2 Bellators and a UFC.
Yeah, I heard it was a pretty good UFC card, but that was in Auckland. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
I believe. So, and I think the Bellator was in Dublin.
Nice.
So yeah. Corey, for the guys who don't know you, what is your history? Where did you come from? How did you get into San Diego? And
yeah. All right. Well, I'll give you a quick rundown. I was born and raised in a small town in Connecticut, where there was actually like more cows than people. So nice little farm town. Probably middle class suburbia, so to speak, with a lot of upper class people moving in there to get away from the city. Hartford, Connecticut, close by. insurance capital of the world, just to let you know. So a lot of money started to head out more towards suburbia that was 20 minutes away from Hartford, and they could buy a good plot of land and buy a $500,000, $800,000 home that'll obviously do well with good schools and all this other shit. I wasn't raised that way whatsoever. I had a mom that stayed at home and ran a daycare. My dad was a blue collar worker, machinist, metrologist. I'm the oldest in the family, of the first generation. So hence the moniker of patriarch. Italian, like Sicilian Italian upbringing, so to speak. That's how my father was raised for sure. Which is kind of like my grandmother was the one that had the curlers in her hair and would like chase you around with a wooden spoon or a fucking bowling pin, like stereotypical Italian grandmother, right? Every time we got together, we went over there every Sunday for a pasta, right? And it was never like the way that Italians dealt with emotions was to like scream and yell at each other and to like guilt and shame and all that, like that kind of base level Roman Catholicism type stuff. Women, the girls in the family were treated like princesses, where the boys were kind of treated more like stuff your emotions, shut the hell up kind of deal. You'll get a whooping kind of deal. So that's what it was like in my household, my upbringing. My father was I don't communicate with my family any longer just because of the level of toxicity there is there. But I tried to go through like a healing process with my family before, telling my dad, like, dude, you used to kick the shit out of me, dude. Like, not good. Like, rageful, bloody, blood rushing to his head, rage, like out of control, beating up a fucking, like a 280 pound, 300 pound man, beating up a fucking 7-year-old. Like, no shit. Like, closed fist, just pummeling me. And in his mind, he considered that discipline. But the reality was, it was just a man who would lose control of his emotions, essentially. And just go into a fucking blinding rage, black out, so to speak, and just whatever happened. But I was the only one that happened to in the household. However, I mean, just he just had no control over anything. He was just, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's where that behavior probably comes from, is in trying to control everything. But not being, you have to understand that you can't control anything other than yourself.
Well, this is where
you can't make things happen.
Right. Yeah. And at the same time too, it's probably a lot of conflict because he doesn't understand emotions. So it's a lot of burying. So if you don't know how to communicate with your emotions, they're still going to spiral around. And then what's going to happen is, because you're trying to control them instead of like communicate with them and understand where they're coming from and what's going on there, it's always going to be a fucking boiling. It's going to be a powder keg, essentially, right? Things are just going to erupt and explode. And that's the release of those emotions. So that was kind of my modeling growing up. My mother and father still to this day are still married, I believe. I remember one time one time my dad took it pretty far, to the point where like he had my face like buried in the ground and I couldn't breathe. And I remember him finally letting go of me, like at like the kind of last second. I remember looking up and seeing my mom just kind of standing there watching, and like seeing the fear in her eyes, but at the same time, like not doing anything. Right. And then obviously it continued to happen over and over and over and over. But essentially what it comes down to is my mom chose my father over protecting her children, if that makes sense, right? Or protecting me. So you got to think of the level that kind of registers in your mind, where like you're 7, 8 years old and you realize there's no one's going to save you. Nobody. Right. So it's like, fuck, I just got to do what I can to survive this shit as best as possible. So you're 7 years old, and in your own household, you're having to figure out how to survive. It was a literal war zone. So believe it or not, though, I look at that as there's a bit of a blessing to that. Why? Because when you are that young and you have to survive, you end up pretty much becoming in tune with your environment and becoming hyper vigilant, which is a good and bad thing. So now you start detecting and seeing different things in your environment. You become hyper aware. You're able to see small and minute details in order to kind of like figure things out, right? Because what I was always doing was walking on eggshells, and I would try to set up my life in order to avoid all these things. And of course, it was random. Like you never knew. It was like I said, powder keg. So anyway, long story short, that kind of helped me out, and it made me, I guess, more intelligent when it comes to human beings. Because now you could read body language. Now you can do tone and all this other stuff. You can tamp down your own things and try to do X, Y, Z. And I didn't realize that that was actually going to be, like I said, a blessing. So long story short, at 18, I end up joining the Marine Corps, ship off to boot camp right as I turned 19 years old. This is 2003, 2004, right as we're invading Iraq and Afghanistan. Join the Marine Corps, like I said, go to Iraq in 2008 after spending time in Asia for 3 or 4 years. And in Iraq, I end up changing my job over to a counterintelligence, human intelligence specialist, which is essentially, like I just talked about, you are an interrogator, you run source operations, you run as a sole operative in a way, running your source networks practically behind enemy lines. And you have to be very, very cognizant of human behavior and all sorts of stuff. So my upbringing essentially made me the perfect candidate for that. On top of the fact that the way I was raised, I didn't really have much value. Like I didn't know my own value. So I engaged for quite some time in like self-destructive or just super risky behavior, right? Things like, I mean, even growing up, street racing illegally and riding motorcycles as fast as fucking possible, joining the Marine Corps, going on the front lines, trying to do all this special operations stuff and all that. Found myself in Afghanistan in 2010 on the front lines of the most dangerous place possible. Ended up on a patrol one day, and we ended up hitting 2 dismounted IEDs. The first one was about 100 feet away from me. Ran over, went and triaged the guys, started to Kazovac, and there's 2 guys in front of me. One was about 5 feet in front of me. He was getting ready to move out. And then there's another guy 10 feet in front of him or 15 feet in front of me, and he stepped on an IED. Saw a ball of fire just fucking rush at me. I get thrown into a wall. Next thing I know, I'm waking up on the ground. I'm like, fuck, I'm dead. Right? I'm like, where the fuck am I? I'm pretty much dead. And I just start patting my body to see what parts are missing. And believe it or not, I didn't have a single scratch on me. The only thing that I had was some burns on my hand, like nothing too crazy. Anyway, long story short with that too, end up leaving Afghanistan after that. End up finding out a lot about the politics of the military because I was supposed to be written up for a high award. That didn't happen. Ended up, in order for them to cover their tracks of not writing me up for this award because they were ordered to, they end up trying to get me in trouble. So I'm like, yo, I just go. I got 2 deployments under my belt. I'm a high level operator. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing all the right things. I live by the code of, you know, serve the guy to the left and right of you kind of deal, right? Sacrifice yourself for that guy. And here I got the Marine Corps trying to burn me just because of like jealousy and ineptitude and all this other stuff. So I was like, fuck this. Again, the safety signals in my mind are starting to fucking go off. It's like, fuck, I'm not safe here. This isn't what it was told to be and all this other stuff. And I was like, I got to get out. So I ended up getting out, opened up a CrossFit gym here in Oceanside, California, which is like the mecca of CrossFit as well. Mm-hmm. San Diego is like the mecca for many things: jiu-jitsu, triathlon, CrossFit, high level
hot babes,
exactly. I mean, it makes sense. It's almost 75 year round. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Got out, opened up my own gym with my own money. Sent 2 teams to the CrossFit Regional in Southern California in 2014. Pretty big deal. Crushing it. However, business is just kind of whatever, right? It's taking a lot of energy out of me working 90 hours a week on top of trying to be a competitive athlete as well. People start stealing money from me. Things are slipping from under me as well. Dating this one girl on paper, she's perfect. In reality, she's not, right? Everyone's like pushing me to get married, family included. I'm like, all right, I'm turning 30 here soon. Might as well try to take the plunge, sell my Harley, go and put a down payment on a ring. And then I end up getting my dog, who's fucking awesome. And one morning I wake up, I'm sleeping at her place. We don't live together. I'm sleeping at her place. It's 3:00 in the morning. I wake up, go take a leak or whatever. And I'm just kind of like walking around. I'm like, fuck, what the fuck is bothering me? And I walk over towards the bed and I look at her in the bed and I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, ugh. And I look down at the floor, my little puppy, and I just look at him and I'm just like, oh my God, I love him so much. And I look back at her and I go, ugh. And I look down at my boy and I'm like, oh my God, I love him so much. And I get down on the ground and I start like hugging him and stuff like that. And I crawl back in the bed and like that feeling sits with me for a little while. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I going to marry this girl that I can't fucking stand? Right. Just because, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It was just so weird, right? Like the sex was already fucking burnt out. She was a disaster. I mean, on paper, she wasn't a disaster, but her family life and everything else, just awful. So I end up breaking up with her. And I just kind of like go through this whole thing of like, why don't my relationships ever work out with women? Like when I try to apply this kind of like societal norm that's put on men.
If I do these things, if I check these boxes,
why am I not
love me?
Exactly. And why am I not fucking happy? Why am I not fulfilled from it? Why does it
provide service for her? If I do all these things for her,
then I start looking at my business and I'm like, yo, I'm a fucking business owner. This is like peak American dream. Why am I not fucking happy with this? I'm burnt out. I'm working more than ever. Then, I was actually on SSRIs. They had me on Cymbalta before getting out because I was diagnosed with PTSD before getting out of the military. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, yo, these things are fucking numbing me to the point where like whatever. So I get off that and I start using cannabis and all this other stuff to wean myself off. And that starts to open my mind up more to like what's going on. Believe it or not, it pulls up all these emotions and all these things that I had buried for years, the PTSD from war, from my upbringing and all this other stuff.
PTSD like, from your childhood?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like hardcore. Like that's actually where it all stems from. Every decision that I made was stemming from that trauma from my childhood. And it starts pulling all this stuff up and like, it's just hitting me hard, like subconscious. And I'm just like, fuck. And like one morning, my alarm clock goes off at 5:30 and I just can't get out of bed. I have a class to run at 6:00 and I just can't get out of bed. Like I try my hardest to just put my feet on the ground and I can't. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I had essentially a breakdown. Like I broke fucking down, man. Couldn't work any longer. Had to close down the gym for a little while and hire a new coach and all this other stuff, which meant almost no money or no profits for me. So now I'm freaking out because I'm not making any money from this. It's like all going out. I'm like, I have no direction. I have no purpose. I have no identity. I'm having to deal with all this stuff right now. And like, it was just crazy. So long story short, I ended up putting myself in the hospital for 4 days, having a mental breakdown. And they're like, oh, well, this is because you came off of, what's it called? Your Cymbalta. So they threw me on 4 more medications. I'm like, fuck this. I'm like, fuck this, dude. Seriously. Like, fuck this bullshit. Like, fuck
4 more medicine.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm like, this isn't the way life is supposed to be. So 3 weeks later, I end up fucking booking a flight down to Peru after hearing about ayahuasca. And, like with my last $800, and I go down and I'm in search of this Marine who opened up his own ayahuasca retreat center to heal PTSD. And I'm just going there. I don't have any money. Right. And I'm going there to knock on the door and be like, please, please, please take me in. Like, this is what's going on. You're my brother. You know what I've been through. Like, I will fucking pay you back tenfold when I'm healed and all this other stuff kind of deal. So I fly into Iquitos, Peru, and I get into the fucking cab and I say, take me to this retreat. And the cab driver turns around and he says, that retreat center has been closed down for the last 3 months. And I was like, fuck. So here I am. My flight doesn't return, or my flight returns back 10 days later. I'm like, fuck. So I have like no money. That was like my one shot, all this other stuff. And I end up going back into the airport and I run into this fucking gangly ass kid from LA with a Kangol hat on. He's like, hey, are you an American? I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, are you here to do ayahuasca? I'm like, yeah, I am. Anyway, long story short with that one, he brings me to the retreat center that he's going to see if his shaman can recommend someone close by that could help me out and all this other stuff, because he's part of this like select group of whatever. So that like, it's all traditional and all this other stuff. So I end up meeting the shaman, and the shaman looks at me and she's like, "Why are you here?" And I reach down into my backpack and I pull out my medication and I say, "I never want to be on these again, and I want to heal my PTSD." I was like, I specifically came off of all these medications to come down here and drink ayahuasca. She snatches the bottle out of my hand, and her and the other shaman go into this room. And the next thing I know, I hear fucking rattle shaking and like smoke pouring out from underneath the fucking door and all this other stuff. And they don't come out for another hour. And she comes out and she looks directly at me again. And she goes, "The spirits have spoken to us, and you are to come deep into the Amazon jungle with us. And we're going to do a series of cleanses on you, but you're not going to drink ayahuasca. Will you come with us?" And I was just like, fuck. I'm supposed to drink ayahuasca, right? The Marine in me, like mission objective kind of thing, right? Like you came down here for this. And I was like, yeah, fuck. All right. Do I not go? And I'm just like don't drink ayahuasca, or do I go on the adventure? And I was like, all right, I'm in. So the next morning we hop on this fucking rickety ass boat. We got all our supplies and we go down the fucking Amazon River, 2.5 hours. Like, I don't know how many miles it was, maybe 12, 20 some odd miles away from all civilization, to this fucking tribal ancestor land, right? The guy, one of the shamans, that's like been in his family for like 10,000 years or some shit like that. No, like untouched, uncivilized, all this other stuff. We end up going there. And it was crazy. The second I got in the jungle, I just started throwing up. They just started hurling, right? And man, it was just fucking like super cleansing in a way. So I go down there, and anyway, long story short, after 4 days of brewing and helping out and all this other stuff, and actually helping to brew the ayahuasca and all this, the male shaman, he comes out of his tent the morning that we're supposed to go into ceremony that night, and he goes, "The spirits came to me last night and they said that you're to drink ayahuasca with us tonight in ceremony." And I was just like, fuck yeah. So anyway, ceremonied with ayahuasca, got to meet my soul, got to heal a lot of stuff, came back to the United States feeling all fucking happy about life. And long story short, ended up losing my business, having my house, not being able to pay for my house, having my cars repossessed from me, losing all my friends. So now I'm homeless and trying to figure out how the fuck to get back on my feet, and also dealing with the PTSD aspect that wasn't necessarily healed, but I was cleansed of having to fucking take the medicine, right? So It's like, it was fucking crazy.
No more being numbed down.
Exactly. I was dealing with life, like reality, no more avoiding reality.
I think that's a big theme around today is the avoidance of reality.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So
the belief that there is no real reality, there is no baseline, and then the overwhelming effort to avoid any reality that hits you in the face when it comes to you.
And that, you know, the other thing is this, and it's kind of essentially where my book comes down to, is that all these people in today's society that kind of tie into the whole leftist ideal, all these intellects that go to these colleges and all this other stuff, they think that they get to create their own. They get to think that they can create their own reality. They think that our society is so secure, and it's going to continue to get better and better and better, that they don't have to any longer believe in these baseline truths about reality. They can just get rid of them, throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Like not eating meat.
I agree. It's that silly. It's that silly. So anyway, it took me 3 years to really start to get back on my feet. I got into jiu-jitsu. I started practicing meditation daily. And then finally went down to Costa Rica and did an Iboga ceremony about 3 years ago. And that actually was what completely ended up healing me from my PTSD, anxiety, depression, and so forth, and then getting me on the track to where I'm at today. So that was, I mean, long story I missed out on a lot of fucking details there, but that's been my life. I just turned 35 on Saturday. So I've had a hell of a fucking life living the last 35 years. It's been wild. It's been real, you know? So essentially really what it comes down to as well is, at 30 was when the beginning of my red pill awakening started to happen. Right. Because essentially the red pill, I've been able to kind of understand and break down what the red pill is.
Sometimes it doesn't happen all at once. A lot of times it's very gradual.
You like need it.
For me, I feel like I was red pilled before, but like as I got into high school, college, I started to get a little more brainwashed, a little more conditioned. And it wasn't until through my process of my marriage and divorce that I get fully traumatized into the other side and understanding and seeing this shit.
Agreed. Yeah. And I mean, what I've been able to kind of deduce what the red pill is versus what blue pill is essentially this. It's kind of like what you're talking about, because blue pill is absolute conditioning. It's it's so funny. The left sits there and they're like, everything's a social construct. It's like, that's what the blue pill is. So they're sitting there and they're feeding you the blue pill by feeding you the social construct. Mm-hmm. They're trying to change reality through feeding you this social construct.
Gaslighting you into it. That's
exactly what the blue pill is, though. If you really break it down to brass tacks, it comes down to this: women are superior and must be pedestalized, and men are disposable. If you really break that down, if you really start to think about that, that's what it comes down to. Men are supposed to allow women to be a greater gender. So it's not really about equality, right? I mean, well, that's feminism first and foremost.
Well, I view it as you're right, but it's men have always been disposable, but women also made their sacrifice. They had their half of the sacrifice, which was bearing the children.
Right.
So
and being there
to be nurturing and
exactly.
But it feels like men are being held to the same standard of being sacrificial and must be there to help support the women and others. But now they're not going to hold up their end of the bargain.
Right. Well, I'm going to go a little bit deeper on why I'm saying that too.
Well, this is all stuff covered in, you have a book coming out, right?
Yes.
Next week. I'm going to share there it is on the screen.
What a good image.
Purging Feminism.
The Patriarch's Vision, Purging Feminism. That's part 1.
It's only part 1.
So the Purging Feminism is the part 1. Part 2 will be out. I haven't even started writing it, to be honest with you. I'm too busy fucking marketing this shit and all that other good stuff. I don't know if you put the links in there. You only do one thing at a time. Yeah. I don't know if you put the links in there, but right now you can go to Amazon right now and pre-order the Kindle edition for a discounted price. On March 1st, the price tag will go back up to retail. But also at that time frame too, on March 1st, the paperback copy will be available at a discounted price on March 1st up until March 7th. So the 1 week after I release it, the book will go up to, the paperback will go up to its retail price of $25 or $24.99. So keep an eye, keep checking. Yeah, absolutely. If you need to, go to my website, CoreyCopella.com, all that good stuff. But yeah, really what it comes down to with all this stuff, man, is this is the biggest thing that I found as far as my awakening is concerned, is this, that my masculine relationships, my relationships with men are actually far superior in my life than my relationships with women. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why it's so extreme by which I'm saying this, is because we've been taught the opposite. Men have been taught, go out, have male friendships, but the second you find the one, or the second you get into a relationship with a woman, you need to be available and open to her. It's give all your time over to her. And you see this with a lot of these blue pill guys. They pretty much start getting rid of their relationships with their friends. Slowly but surely start going away.
Unless they're pussy whipped.
Yes.
That's what we used to call it back in the day, back in ancient times.
Right. But your boys, especially the ones that aren't in relationships with women and stuff like that, that are still invested in you, those are the guys that are going to give you all the information that you need to know. Those are the guys you should be checking in with on your emotional stuff, right? Because you as a man can't talk to a woman about your emotional state.
No, she doesn't want to know.
She doesn't want to know. Exactly. Why? Because she wants to be led by you. But if you sit there and you walk up,
they'll tell you they want to hear about all your problems, but they don't. When you start telling them about their problems, they see you as weak. I've been through it.
I agree. It's like, it's another thing too.
You cannot complain. They don't want to see the struggle. They only want to see the success.
Exactly. So promote that to them. But who do you need to lean on then when you are struggling? and that's your friends. That's your inner circle, which should be only comprised of men, honestly. Because the second you give a woman information, any type of woman information about your vulnerabilities, it's always going to be weaponized. Always. It's not going to happen right away. But one thing I realize about relationships, man, relationships are the hardest thing on the planet, right? Hardest thing in the world. And relationships, honestly, especially in today's day and age where we aren't so dependent on one another for survival, like in a tribal mindset, like relationships are practically disposable at this point in time. They transform a lot. You know what I mean? Where it's like they're replaceable. You have a lot of relationships that aren't going to last lifetimes. So that's the thing, is like when those relationships,
we have so much access to so many people nowadays.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. And we're all, I mean, essentially now it's a global marketplace. It's a global marketplace. So no matter what, especially if you're men like you and I, where we're trying to get better and better and better and better, what does that mean? That means also your social circle is going to elevate and evolve as well. And most people in your direct social circle right now, there's always going to be one or two or three people that want to just stay right there at that tier.
Yeah, and the crabs in the bucket, they'll hate on you, they'll make fun of you, they'll just be shitty in your life because you're trying to better yourself.
Correct.
You're on a diet and you're working out because you're trying to get your body composition under control, and they keep bringing over shit food.
Yeah, I had a friend that was like that before. It's like, I'm on a diet. He's like, come on, man, let's go out and get this.
Live a little.
Come on, man.
You're allowed to have fun. Like, well, self-improvement for me is fun. Getting better, doing better today, have little accomplishments. Like,
yeah,
it's absolutely. Like little missions. You play video games because you go on these little missions and do things. Well, like that's what your life is.
Right.
You have these little missions that you go on throughout the day. You know, the mission of the laundry.
Yeah, dude, I feel it. I talk to guys about this all the time. Is exactly that. Like the small battles is what I call them. Win the small battles.
They call them quests in video games. Isn't that what it is?
I like it.
Go on little quests. Well, I think that's the way that I talk about this too. Is it's a way to gain momentum in winning, right? Because with that whole, Jordan Peterson, the lobster theory, where the lobsters that win tend to keep on winning. The trick there is to figure out little ways to win little battles all the time. Getting up in the morning, getting your workout in, making your bed. Those are all wins. Those are all things that you can walk away with saying like, I won, I beat that, and you go into the next thing, and you're already on a roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like starting every morning with my lift and then a good breakfast. That right there, 2 wins. Or I'll make my bed too, so I'll have 3 there.
Yes,
three wins.
Your bed.
3 wins before I got to do shit in the day. Before I have to do any serious work, I've already got my lift in, my good food in. Have a little coffee, make the bed.
You lift first before you eat?
Yeah, I'll get up at 5:30, come in and just knock out a lift, 35, 45 minutes. I do 1 to 3 exercises.
Dang, that's awesome.
That's all you need.
I agree. Now that I'm getting a bit older, I just did 3 exercises. I went into the gym. I wasn't feeling it today, honestly. I was like, fuck it. Who cares? Just get in there.
Make sure they're compound things, and make sure you're getting your legs. Like that's the most important thing. If all you ever did, if all anybody ever did was squat and deadlift once a week,
excuse me,
you would see the nation's like obesity rates plummet.
I agree.
Simple. Like there's nothing stopping. And you don't even have to do like max loads or weights even. Like just being able to do the mechanics. If you can do a free squat and be able to do that and maybe get some bands involved, feel a little bit of a burn, do set to 20, hey, you're great. You're going to improve your life tremendously.
Yeah. And I would even say this, once you get comfortable doing those banded lifts with the 20 reps, push yourself for a small period of like 6 weeks of doing sets of 8, like going heavier, pushing yourself and pushing your muscles, right? Like just doing something like that too as well. I mean, one of the biggest things that most people do, like most trainers that really understand how to train obese people, is they'll have them do compound lifts and go heavy. Mm-hmm. It's like you see the fastest amount of fat loss off of
lean muscle burns
exactly.
fat.
You got to build that muscle up, man, to get that metabolism going, because muscle's hungry, man. It's going to keep fucking eating,
Yep.
So it's like, it's good to see that stuff. Yeah. More of
the hormones and shit that get released when you start stressing the muscles like that too end up helping out a lot also. I mean, if you're a guy and you start doing your squats and your deadlifts, like your testosterone's just going to go up. You're going to be in a better mood. You're going to have more fun and just have a better life. Squat for happiness.
Squat for happiness. I love deadlifting too, though. I love deadlifting. I'm
such those are the two go-tos are back squats and stiff leg deadlifts. Those are the ones I'll always hit. I hit them usually twice a week each.
Nice. What do you do for compound lift upper body though?
Some form of bench. So like I'm trying to get away from flat bench because it's not good for the shoulders. Yeah. So I'll decline, incline, or what I've been doing is dips recently.
Oh, good for you. Dips are fucking awesome. Absolutely.
And I've got rings in the garage here, so I'm doing my weighted dips with the rings.
You could even probably try to do a floor press because that locks in your your shoulder girdle really well. I mean, you're going to go light, but
yeah,
that's a really good, I guess, in a way we could call it like a good isolation lift. I saw a lot of growth. And it took a lot of pressure off my shoulders when I started to do floor presses. I should get back into that now. Now that I said that, I'm interested.
That's interesting. So with the floor press, you're just bringing the bar down into your elbows, or your upper arm goes parallel to the ground.
Well, yeah, and the big thing is this, because you'll see most people with their bench, they have like
it's just like it's really a bad angle. Like I've been listening to a few people talking about how if you're an athlete, you should stay away from the bench unless you're a powerlifting athlete, where that's what you compete with.
Right.
The pressure it puts on the labrum and the socket in there.
Sure. Well, here's the thing though. And I guess I'll have to take my shirt off real quick or whatever. So the thing is, when most people bench, they bench from here. If you can look at how my shoulders are, right? And the reality is what you need to be doing is you need to be pulling and squeezing the scapula. So that's why the floor press is amazing, because you keep that retracted the whole time. And you're pushing into the floor with your scapula retracted. And then you're taking that front delt and the labrum and everything out of it. So the floor press isn't something where, unless you get really good at it, first off, take your time and focus on that form. It's the same thing with the deadlift too. Most people, when they deadlift, you're going to see a rounded back and forward because they're lifting from their low back and their spinal erectors and all this other stuff. And it's like, you should be pulled back as well. And then the next thing that I tell people is this: you got to understand the breathing pattern when you're lifting. Because a lot of us, we go and then we hold in and we tighten our core. And believe it or not, that's a huge detriment to you, because that really messes up your diaphragm. So you're not lifting and breathing and getting oxygen to the blood, or getting blood and oxygen to the right locations. You're actually stifling it. That's why I have a lifter's belly, because for so long it's been a lot of muscle growth right here around my diaphragm, which doesn't give me the ability to do different things. So now I have a lot of shoulder and neck stuff that I got to deal with. When you're breathing and when you're lifting, right? So your breathing should be something like this. So let's say, for instance, your deadlift. When you're going down to the ground, you should be breathing all the way into your belly button. And then on the way up, it's not a squeeze, but instead just a exhale. And you'd be surprised. You're going to be able to lift a lot more. It's going to hit the targeted areas. And as strange as this sounds, you're actually going to be able to lift more without putting and exerting so much energy out. It's the same thing with the bench. Right? Look at how my chest and everything is, right? It just naturally, your body goes into that position. Nice deep inhale to the stomach. You'll see it with the squat. It's something that I've had to work on recently too, because I even do that. I'll get the bar racked. I'll go, and then I'll tighten my core and my diaphragm down, and then I'll squat. But everything's up here. Now I go up, I'll tighten it up a little bit, but I'll breathe. And as I'm breathing, I'm going down. And then I'll hit that point where where my breath stops, and I just go, right? And release. And as crazy as it sounds, it's a far better lift than what I was doing. Far better.
It's interesting.
It is interesting. I had
one of those things where it's one of the ways I would mess with somebody who's doing something that takes concentration, like playing pool or whatever. I'd be like, hey, do you breathe in or out when you're hitting the ball? So it makes them think about it, so it fucks them up. I've never really thought about it, because I'm pretty sure I do take the breath and I breathe out when I'm pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I breathe in on the way down. I haven't thought about it.
Try it. It's going to change your lifts. It's going to change your lifts, man. It's like, to me, it's been the most eye-opening thing that I've done in a while. Yeah. I
don't ever try to like hold too much in or put too much pressure on that, because I've seen the people who pass out. Have you seen those people?
Uh-huh.
They like hold their breath, they do a heavy set, and then they fall face first into the weights.
Yep. I've had that happen one time.
I lift by myself all alone, so I don't want anything to happen.
I've had that happen one time, man.
So one day I don't pick the kids up at school. Where's Dad?
I smashed my head on a fucking concrete floor, bro. Smashed my head on it. Like donk. Like it was bad. It was bad. And that's because what I did was I actually had the bar. I was doing full depth, like Olympic lifting squats, like ass to grass, like ass to ankles kind of deal. 20 of them super fast. Then I sat in the fucking, what's it called? I sat in the squat for like a minute on the bottom, like playing around, whatever. And then I exploded out of the hole after sitting there. So my blood was all in my legs. Like there's no oxygen. And then I just went, and then I hit the top and I was just like, holy fuck. And I just face planted. I remember like just going out. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. Awful. My nose got super busted. It was hilarious. Super funny. Didn't feel good though. That did not feel good. I don't recommend.
Oh man.
I know. I probably should have passed out numerous times before that too, but
I'm gonna share your people can also find you on Twitter. I'm gonna share your Twitter page.
I barely got any Twitter followers since I got fucking blown up. Oh dang, 114 followers. That's getting better.
Massive. Because you got your original account got taken down.
Yeah.
You're too honest.
I was, that one tweet, man.
That's
that one tweet pissed off a lot of feminists. Tweet. All right, cool. I have it on my IG.
You don't have it up on the other
No, I have it on my IG, so I'll pull it up real quick.
You can send me that in the private chat and I'll bring it up.
I'll just read it. Actually, yeah, maybe I can do that. Can I do that? Can I share it with you?
Uh-huh.
Copy link. All right, send it to you via the tweeter.
Oh, you sent it through Twitter?
Yeah, just so you can pull it up. And then I'm gonna paste my auto subscribe for those of you guys that don't follow me on YouTube. That's going in the chat in what's it called? Oops. Remove any web addresses. What? That's ghetto. Anyway.
Okay. We've got it up now. This is the most awful misogynistic tweet ever. How dare a man have an opinion about women?
I know, right? So essentially what it comes down to, man, is I was sitting there one night, and obviously, I'm big into online dating. So I was perusing, and this is, Bumble. Bumble is the biggest, Bumble's the biggest one that I see this.
I think we even talked about this once before too.
Yeah. So I'm swiping on Bumble. I'm swiping on Bumble. And the crazy part is, and I just recently changed my settings. Before it used to be 18 to 47 because there's still some hot babes here in San Diego that are holding it together at 37 and 40, So I was like, I won't discriminate all that. But the problem that I'm seeing is, and Bumble was doing this to me as well, is they were matching me up with women my age. Like 33, 34, 35 was kind of the majority of women that I was seeing. And all of them led with, like, for instance, I got this girl, Bree, that's pulled up right now. They lead off with their job. And most of the time it'll say something like senior vice president of marketing and sales or marketing or sales, lead scientist at research facility or something like that. Like they're leading with all this stuff, what their profession is. And they're very, very proud of this title that they've acquired. Right. It's why a lot of girls today are chasing after getting their PhDs because they want to have
they're interviewing for a job, like a professional position.
Yeah, it's, women have been taught, honestly, they've been taught to take a masculine style of dating.
Well, they've been brainwashed into thinking that men and women are the same, and that if they look for things that are, success objects, if they look for success objects, then the people they want will look for success objects also.
Correct. It's the same reason why guys send dick pics to girls.
Yes.
We men get aroused by seeing the female form. So we're like, oh, well, I get turned on by seeing a girl when she sends me a photo or whatever that's kind of seductive and shows sex
objects.
Exactly. So then a guy is like, oh, she's going to get turned on when I send a picture of my dick.
Because he would be turned on by her boobs.
Exactly. Yep.
So
girls are doing the same thing. And
this is where men get into the let's just be friend category, and they can't break through, and they don't understand why.
Right.
It's the same thing. Because
they don't know how to game women.
If they act like women, if they talk about things that women talk about, if they do all the things women do, if they make themselves a woman, they'll be so similar to that woman that they'll definitely get to have sex with them.
Yep.
But it's not.
That has to work. That has to work, right? Because I see girls talking with other girls about these things. So therefore, she's going to cherish this relationship. And it's like, no. Girls like men like me that tell them no a lot, establish boundaries quickly, pretty much, put them in line and in check right off the bat, and, fuck them and all that other stuff, right? Like it's not passionate, nice coitus. Or a 3-date rule. I'm going to respect your stuff. It's like, I'm going to push your boundaries. I'm going to put you in check, and I'm going to tell you what I want. And girls are like, ooh, deep down, they like that, So anyway, and the reason why, let's go back to this tweet. That's what essentially happened, right? So
you sent this as it's up on your Instagram now. We're looking at that, but you put it out on Twitter, and it got you taken on. And I'm seeing comments here right next to it that are already they just went crazy, attacking you. That's nothing but an attack. Like you, it's so crazy to me that they don't see it themselves. They don't see all the other comments and think maybe this is, not okay.
I love seeing these comments, dude.
It's so funny. It's just, so like men can't.
Dude, so after, just to let you know too. So I have another book that's released on Amazon. It's called Live Your Best Life in 30 Days. Mm-hmm. After I released this tweet, people literally started going to Amazon because my book was linked or whatever, and literally writing reviews on my book, a book that they didn't read, and calling me a misogynist and all this other stuff. It's like, you people are so fucking childish.
If they have to label you and they can't argue the points, like they're full of shit. People, you have to understand this. You have to understand this.
Well, this is again going back to a society that's taught and raised to believe that their emotions are truth. It's like, oh, well, you have an emotion, you feel an emotion, express it as quickly as possible, and that's your truth. And it's like, there's no such thing as your truth. There's just truth.
There is a truth. You can have a perspective. You can have a perspective. You can have a personal experience.
You can have an opinion as well. You can have an opinion.
Like, gravity's gravity. Math is math. There's a baseline reality.
Correct. So anyway, this tweet was essentially letting women know, right? Because you always see this too. You see this on online dating. You see this on girls tweeting all this stuff all the time. First and foremost, the whole men are trash type of thing. But then the next thing is, where are all the real men? Where are all the real men, right? They'll sit there and they'll nag and they'll bitch and complain. The women that commented on this stuff, they didn't. It's the irony of the tweet. They didn't fault. The irony of the tweet. It's the question is always, where are all the real men? To them. Right. The question is always this: where are all the real men? So I wrote it from the perspective of a real man. All right, well, if you want me to be a real man and you want a real man to be attracted to you and all this other stuff, here's a standard by which a real man would invest into you. But they can't see that. They can't see and understand, like, oh, shoot, a real man or a man of value is going to hold me to some type of standard, right? It's why they keep fucking all these doofuses, man, because those are guys that won't hold them to any boundary. They don't realize that they do realize they're not attracted to them, to these guys.
They don't even really sleep with them. Like, they might every once in a while, but it's not good sex. And then they're banging other dudes on the side. They'll take their money. They'll let them pay for the house and the rent. And
it's usually transactional sex.
Yeah.
It's transactional sex that they have with these people.
She's like, oh, well, it's our monthly time. I got to give it up.
Right. I got to do this in order to kind of keep them around. I got to keep the cash flow coming and all that other good stuff. But dude, I mean, look at the list that I came up with. It's not that hard to do. It's not that hard at all. You know, girls today, I walk around my gym right now here in San Diego.
And it's not saying, and none of these things are saying these things are bad or you should never do these things. It's just, we don't really care. It's like, you don't have to bring it up. I mean, that's not going to make me swipe you or want to go on a date with you.
Correct. It's just saying, hey, you know what you should, instead of investing in going and being
in fact, that tells me she more than likely has a lot of debt and I don't want to mess with that.
Correct. Right. The other thing that it shows me too is this. It shows me that she's going to be competitive with me. And I don't want a girl that's going to be competitive. I don't want to compete in my relationships. I'm sorry to say that. I want it to be you do your best in your role of being feminine.
Added value.
Exactly. I'm not looking to bring someone into my life who's going to sit there and compete with me, who's going to sit here and fucking look at all the stuff I do on under a microscope and be like, you see, you did that wrong here. It's like, I don't need that. I don't need that. I'm my own worst critic. I don't need somebody else who's going to also be a critic as well. Right. It's like, you're here for the ride and I'm the fucking train conductor. So like I was saying, you know, big thing that I notice right now, sure, there's some girls that I see around here that are fit, but they're not flirtatious. Like girls don't have game any longer. They don't know how to, when they see a man of value.
Well, it's because they got social media and there's 150 dick pics.
They're waiting for some blue checkmark guy. They want to post a picture of their booty, fucking put whatever filter or whatever and make it look perfect, right? So that they look like a 10. And then they want these blue checkmark guys sliding into their DMs and offering them trips to fucking Dubai or a cruise in the Mediterranean and all this other stuff. That's their dream. Now, listen, I get it because most of these girls can attain some level of that, honestly, right? But then they get used and abused. They get dumped and fucking after a week or so, they're like, oh, that was a great experience. They got now another notch count or 10 underneath their belt. And it's like, all right, let's do it again 100 more times. And then now they're going to be 30, 33 years old. And the only person sliding in their DM is
nobody's sliding in their DM anymore at that point.
Right. It's going to be the betas. Like, oh, you're so beautiful and you're all this other stuff and you deserve a Prince Charming. Let me take you out. I'm going to bring you some flowers and all this other stuff and I'll open the door for you. And they're like, ugh, all right.
And then they enter a non-monogamous polyamorous relationship with this guy.
And they're like, as long as you accept me and my cats, that's all that
never has sex with him and he pays for everything.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, what she should have done at that point in time, and I hate to give this kind of information to women, but at the same time, you know, back in the day, what it would come down to was women would force men into relationships by withholding sex. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're better off doing that, honestly. Right. I mean, it's not to say don't fucking like, just be a prude, because if I'm with a girl who's a complete prude and she's like, no, I'm not going to do that stuff. It's like, all right, bye. Right. But you got to understand girl game. Like, have a little bit of respect for yourself. Like, you can still be sexual, but not have sex. You can do that to keep a man. I fucking remember growing up, man, that like people would be in relationships for 6-7 months and the farthest they got was a hand job or a blow job. And like, it was blow jobs for like 3 months, which fuck, I don't mind that. She's going to come over and blow me. All right. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? But like withhold that punani, withhold that shit, man. And barter and bargain for some kind of relationship. Honestly, when like, and the younger you are, go after the highest value man possible, right? Stay in shape, look good, be flirtatious with him, be feminine, you know, and that, I mean, honestly, that's the best case for women. We see now that women that sleep around far too much have no ability to, pair bond. And I even go so far in my book to even draw the correlation between women who have high notch counts and their inability to pair bond with their own children. Mm. The thing that women have been doing in today's world is they are making their jobs their number one relationship. Mm-hmm. It's insane. Like, that's not the role for women. Like, it's destroying women. 41% of women 45 years and older are on SSRIs. 41% of women 45 years and older are on some type of fucking medication.
41%. That medicine, we're all on that medicine because it goes into the water system. We're all in the
these
same
are women that are actually prescribed this stuff. So I get that. Sure. Absolutely. You're right.
No, yeah. We talked about that article one day on, alcohol use.
Oh, it's so bad.
Women above
it's
like 40. Bad. Really bad. Pills, alcohol.
And the thing is, when you're doing these types of things to disassociate and to numb yourself and all this other stuff, they're so indoctrinated into feminism and believing in the ideology and being on team sisterhood that they fail to recognize and take inventory of why this might be happening. And the fact is, feminism led you astray.
It's our fault. We did it.
No, I disagree.
They don't have good lives because of us, of course, because of the patriarchy.
I paint the finger at feminism. I paint the fact that feminism has tried teaching women to adopt a male sexual strategy.
I have a conspiracy theory for you.
Oh, I would love to hear this.
Oh, this is going to be good. I have this conspiracy theory that the war on masculinity, the war on men, and feminism are all created by the CIA.
Tell me more.
To weaken and destabilize the citizens of this country, to make us weak and easier to rule over.
100.
That's my.
I would even take it a step further. One of my dudes in my men's group even talks about this too. They're putting chemicals either in the water, food supply, or like we know, MK Ultra. They could be spraying something. We don't know.
Well, just the SRIs and the birth control in the water.
Birth control. Yep, that's good enough too. But think about it on a mass level though too. Like how do you lower testosterone levels so exponentially?
Shitty food, processed food,
exactly.
Beer,
other things too. I mean, it could even be microwaves. Who knows?
Discouraging people to lift weights, discouraging people to be in wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Dude, look at these fucking kids today too, man. They're so fat. These little fucking kids. I look around, I'm like,
get everybody on video games. That's the new brainwash. I think that's the new brainwash, is to get everybody on video games.
Well, I want to even say this though, because
then they can just they can put everybody in a pod. They can put a tube down their throat that feeds them insects. They'll just be happy. They'll have a
virtual reality worn. Put them in a virtual reality life.
They'll live in the pod.
Think of it here this way too: avoid coronavirus by living in your pod.
No, that's the start of it.
It's going to happen. But my dude was telling me, because he is able to break down hormone profiles and all this other stuff pretty well. Female testosterone is also on the decline as well.
Mm-hmm. Which would explain the sexlessness of the Generation Z or whatever right now.
Well, you need a baseline of testosterone in a woman for her to be able to maximize her estrogen and be feminine.
Yes, and that's why, like, when women go through menopause, they'll go on a testosterone supplement because it gives them back their libido. Like after menopause, they don't want to have sex anymore. Like,
right, yeah, and they just start turning into crotchety feminists. Sexless fucking weirdos. Yeah, so that's what it is there has been an attack on testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
If we understand that that's the base hormone by which masculinity actually thrives and has biologically evolved us as a species, right? Especially as men, right? Why not attack it? Because if you can attack testosterone in both male and female, now you turn everything into practically goop.
Yeah.
So, but it's men like you and I that have made choices in our lives to say, fuck that shit, right? Like, I don't drink tap water. I don't drink tap water at all. I
stopped drinking beer once I heard it lowers your testosterone level.
Yeah, I don't drink alcohol,
Stick
period.
Whiskey.
There you go. Yeah, and I think you're 100% right. But I also think that, there's stuff going on right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think we're going to see... mass depopulation. I think that
the whole coronavirus stuff is, there's so many things that could be going on with that. It could be a made up, not made up as far as like nobody's getting sick, but it could be a government created sickness that they already have a cure for.
Oh, sure.
They're going to hold that out, and
you understand that,
and they're using the sickness to quarantine areas, and then once people get quarantined, they can't travel, they can't move, and then you can start making political dissidents disappear.
Sure.
And there's like videos surfacing from out of China that seem very suspect.
There's a rumor that there was a level 4 type of level 4 laboratory, obviously, that works on these types of viruses in Wuhan.
Yeah, I heard
and
that.
this is a lab created virus that got out, right? So it's been, from what I hear, this story's been confirmed and corroborated. I think that, honestly, I think that this was bound to happen. I think we're going to see some more things happen.
It's also, how long has the Hong Kong riots and demonstrations been going on?
Correct.
Right?
Why not release it? Exactly. Why
so
not
like
release
this
it?
now the attention's off of Hong Kong. When's the last time you heard anything about Hong Kong?
Right.
Now they're
and
going
all those people
locking them up. Now they're going to, oops, Hong Kong, there's infections. Now they're just send the whole army down there.
Those bodies just end up in the same fucking mass graves as these coronavirus people, and they're thrown into the numbers.
Yep.
It's like, oh, okay, perfect.
Oh no,
like,
we didn't cover anybody in Hong Kong. They got sick.
They unfortunately, there was a mass breakout of coronavirus in their jail cells as well.
That nasty bullet to the head flew.
We had to shoot them. They were becoming zombified. I promise you.
The only way to stop the sickness was to murder everybody.
Exactly.
Who didn't agree with us politically.
Yep. Actually, the best way to go about doing it would be just like what's that name of that movie? No Country for Old Men. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
The dude that's got the fucking
cattle
piston. Just
fuck. Cattle, whatever killer.
It's like, hold still right here.
Put this
or
to
a lightsaber. I'm sure fucking China's got lightsabers. That'd be epic.
Well, that's the thing is, though, China doesn't do much for inventing or creating things. They steal everything. All their technology comes from the technology they stole from people that sent the manufacturing shit to their country.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Like they don't make anything themselves. They steal it from other people.
Yeah.
Except the animal experimentation. That might be the one thing they are ahead of everybody else in, because they don't have any regulations or morals about making a half human, half monkey person.
Yeah.
Or growing body parts on rats.
Crazy, man. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of this stuff too is going to put and stifle and stymie a lot of that crazy shit that's going on there as well. The thing is, the second you do something like this, man, like these elites think that they have the ability to control all this stuff. And it's like, there's so many people.
The people at the very top have been very good at controlling things for a very, very long time. That's true. There's always been a very small percentage of people who had all the power.
Uh-huh.
We haven't had
the Pareto principle states that that's going to happen regardless. Mm-hmm. Regardless, it's just.
Well, I think we saw for the first time, like when America was started, we had for the first time, because we had modern people with no real government over them for a while. I think that's why America flourished so much and was such an awesome place. But now power is starting to consolidate.
Yeah. Always. I mean, especially as we became a globally connected citizenry. I mean, you're going to get people to come together and be like, hey, let's not war. Let's not fucking kill each other economically. Instead, let's group together and we could run this ship together, essentially. So I don't know. I think we got some stuff going on up in space too. I think that
the whole Space Force thing, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of a cover up to kind of understand that we've already been spending trillions and trillions of dollars in order to have different types of bases set up. I think there's bases set up on the moon, and there's like probably bases like set up halfway, like different not international space stations, but different space stations already.
That would be difficult to not be seen, because there's so many of the nerds up looking at the stars and looking for aliens. So if we sent something to the moon or sent somewhere, like, they're gonna see it.
Yeah, but if you go on the backside of the moon,
it's true. But still, the process of getting there, like somebody's gonna see something moving through the air or moving through space on some level. I mean, they can see little rocks and things.
True.
But I mean, I do think there is more going on than that we're definitely allowed to know. That's for sure.
Sure. I mean, it's like it went radio silent practically after 1969, right? They're like, oh yeah, we're not going to the moon anymore. It's like, we're not going in space that much.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just launch satellites and do different shit. It's like, no, there's something else going on.
Could be.
Who knows? But you do bring up a good point. I have nothing to
the amount of cost that's up there, the amount of cost it takes to get somebody up there, and then you've been there a few times. Like, what's left?
Yeah, I would say that they probably found some stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, we're just kind of turn this off because of cost and all this other shit. But you got to think about how many fucking trillions of dollars have gone missing. 9/11, the day before, Rumsfeld came forward. I believe it was Rumsfeld. He came forward and he gave a speech and he said, hey, we're missing $2.3 trillion from the Pentagon right now. It's like, what was all of that funding? Well, different types of shadow governments. Mm. There's a lot of connection to the fact that NASA has a very, very secretive shadow-esque type of thing that's going on as well, right? Like the NASA that we know that presents certain things to us isn't the NASA that really is. Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and all these other people that send satellites and shit in there. There's like very, very secretive departments of those companies.
No, I don't think. I think NASA is just a front because
right. That's what I'm saying.
Because you have Lockheed and all these other places, like because they don't really fund it, and
it's not really well funded. Yeah, NASA's not really well funded, and I think Elon ties in this stuff too because he's been sending a lot of shit up into space lately. Mm-hmm. I think he's sending up different types of packages and different types of things.
I think they must know of like everything is the root of mostly everything is money, right? Because survival is number one, so money leads to survival, and I'm guessing that they know of something that's going to make them money, so that's why they're trying to get up there, whether it's mining asteroids.
I'd be mining asteroids for fucking all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah. That's exactly like if I were a billionaire.
If they can have drones and robots that can they can place on top of the comets and the asteroids.
Yep. Bring it to the space station, get it all fucking cleaned off, make sure it's all purified to make sure it doesn't have any fucking weird space fucking virus on it, and then send it back.
And then that becomes a real big incentive because what if it's minerals or resources that will replace like petrol. Right? Maybe they found a huge chunk of cobalt flying around. They can bring that shit in and make batteries for centuries.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think that's the smartest thing to be doing, honestly. Right? But the biggest risk you run is obviously contaminating the earth with some kind of fucking alien
coronavirus.
Coronavirus. Maybe that's what it is. That's epic. Oh man.
All right. Well, hey, we're a little bit over an hour here.
That's fine. Let's get going.
Yeah, man. So, thanks for coming on. When is the official book?
The official release is March 1st, so this Saturday.
Saturday.
Yep, this Saturday. As I said,
the links put up in the description afterwards. Something happened.
You can pre-order just the Kindle edition right now, and it's on sale via pre-order. So if you want to get this book directly on March 1st, right? You can pre-order it right now. It's $7.99 for the Kindle edition at this moment, but on March 1st, we'll increase back up to $9.99 for its retail price. However, on March 1st, the the paperback edition will be available. And for 1 week and 1 week only, will it be at the discounted price of $19.99. After March 7th, it'll skyrocket up to $24.99. So please do mark your calendars. And if you want to, please do getting on my mailing list to be reminded of all this stuff. And I'll send you a free chapter as well. The mailing list for the free chapter is in the link that John has. So hop on that and I will email you all the details on top of a free chapter.
Awesome, dude.
Yep. And if you need to keep in touch with anything and all things of God Amongst Men, Corey Copella, please do go to CoreyCopella.com. It's where you can buy the books. It's where you can become part of my men's community. It's where you can buy my online dating mastery course. And if you need any level of coaching for money, muscles, game, inner child work, removing toxic relationships from your life, anything to do with spiritual journeying or all that other good stuff, you can book a consultation with me as well there.
Awesome.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy, for sure. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
it's good talking to you.
And thanks for having me on as well.
If you guys haven't seen us before, we do a show on Sundays. You can catch us live streaming on YouTube. Red Pill Smash
1:45 p.m. Yep.
And
cool.
we'll be back on this Sunday.
Yes, sir.
I had some travel and we've had some other things coming up. But yeah, we'll be back on Sunday. Sunday.
Cool.
All right, Corey. I'll talk to you later, man. All right, dudes. Thanks for listening. Oh, let's play something on our way out. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll check you all later.